Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Kash Patel delivers an absolutely fantastic speech outlining exactly what to expect what Americans can really see happen under the upcoming Trump administration. These policies need to be implemented ASAP. Let's dive in.
My, oh my, how do you follow Elon Musk when he tells you you're going to take you to Mars? I'll tell you how. He and I share something deeply. We love the American dream. And we have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty because we just inaugurated Donald J. Trump as our 47th president. And we just inaugurated J.D. Vance as our Vice President of the United States. And we did that because the American dream is alive and well, because you chose that our dream can be the dream for our children and the dream for our world. And we are at a crossroads here in America, but our future is bright because you had the courage to stand for your convictions. So I'm humbled here to talk to you about why I love the American dream. My story's pretty simple, it's unique, and some of you share in it. My parents were born and raised in East Africa. My father in the 1970s fled a genocidal dictatorship in Uganda, where he saw 300,000 of his countrymen murdered, where he saw what lawlessness would do if it was allowed to break through the system of constitutional justice. He fled, like so many others. He married my mother. They moved here. They waited in line. They stood in line because the American dream was worth standing in line for. That dream is woven into the fabric of this nation, and our immigration policy is the greatest policy in the world. And now that we have Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance, it will become the greatest policy in the world again. But dreams and hopes aren't enough, my friends. We got to get to work. And we got to accept the realities that too many of you know from your communities. President Trump launched in his first term priorities of national security, law enforcement, economy, and global diplomacy. But now we have to retread some of that. And I'd just like to go over a few of the things that our community has been living under these last few years. In the last calendar year alone, we had 100,000 drug overdoses. In the last calendar year alone, we had over 100,000 rapes. In the last calendar year alone, we had 17,000 homicides. That is unacceptable in 2025 in the United States of America. That is why we need constitutional law and order. When I read the statistic that for the age group of 18 to 45, the #1 cause of death is CCP fentanyl. We are not prioritized to go after the threats that face this country and most of all, that face our future generations. But thank God we will be starting right now. President Trump and J.D. Vance's leadership and administration will usher in the priorities that I cherished during my 16 years in government service. That we will always, always honor the men and women who wear the cloth of our nation and stand on that wall and tell you nothing's getting by them tonight. And so to them, thank you. To our teachers and our frontline workers and our first responders, y'all choose to show up every single day for our children, for our communities, and we will now show up for you. Thank you for keeping us safe. To the men and women in law enforcement, and maybe I'm biased on this one, our police officers, our sheriffs, our federal agents are some of the greatest warriors that God has ever created. And we will put them first because they have our backs, and now we will have your backs. I am standing here because of the American dream. I am not standing here because of the color of my skin. I'm standing here because I earned my right on this stage, and you earned your right to be here with me. And I promise you this, with every fiber of my being, that our law enforcement, that our teachers, that our first responders, that our veterans, that our men and women in uniform who dare to serve this country and put themselves below the rest of our needs will be reprioritized to the top of the heap because they are standing on that wall, and we will not let that light go dark on them.
Y'all, this is what we mean when people say America first. This is what should be meant when people say, make America great again. We need to take a look at the very people that make our country great. And yes, some of them include immigrants, okay? This dude's the son of an immigrant, all right? The person who came before him, Elon Musk, immigrant. The man who has carried more water for Trump during the campaign, Vivek, immigrant. At least I think he's been in the States too long. Son of immigrants, if I'm not mistaken. America is still the land of opportunity. Trump is winning with Latino voters because they know that the Republican Party and the ideals of removing the red tape that has long been used against small businesses and has been used to actually strengthen the corporate world at the expense of what actually makes our towns and cities great, and that is the hard work of our citizens, the hard work of small business owners, and the hard work of people who act as liaisons in between larger businesses, okay? That is called making America stronger again, because we have watched our middle class slowly disappear. Now, it's for mostly a good reason. That's because many of the middle class are now becoming quite literally into the upper class. But at the same time, a sliver of that, more than a sliver, is now falling into a lower class. This is not good for society. A healthy middle class is more important to America. Man, I really bit off more than I could chew with this one. But it's one of the most important parts of what makes America strong. A healthy middle class. When Illinois chased out their middle class, they have not recovered. California has basically destroyed their middle class. They have not recovered. There's no middle class in Hawaii. There's hardly any middle class left in New York State. Everywhere Democrats go where there's no middle class, things don't end up so well. And so people are starting to understand what kind of good government and policies that constitutes. And so people who are our first responders, people who work in our blue-collar jobs, right at the edge of middle class, protecting those people is safeguarding the very idea of that American dream that we saw come to fruition after World War II. We had survived the Great Depression. We won on two fronts. Okay, we won across the Pacific Ocean. We won across the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, we're the big reason why World War II went so well. Okay, we can have a competent government. We can have competent people in charge, but it takes people who have some introspection enough to say, "Hey, we've screwed up in the past, but now we know how to fix it, and this is the plan." And now we also have people talking about what it means to reform not just I was about to say refugee, not just our immigration system, but something that caught my ear more than anything else. I hope you caught it too. When he called it CCP fentanyl. That is fentanyl that has been manufactured in China, shipped over into, not manufactured in China, but started its process in China, directly shipped to cartels in Mexico where they synthesize it there, and then they pour it over our southern border. That's what people mean when they say that they wanted a wall. That's what people mean when we say we've got a problem at our southern border. Because under the last administration, at least 100,000 people died last year to drug overdoses. Fentanyl is at the root of that problem. And if you've seen what happens when fentanyl, when you're going through withdrawals or going through an overdose, and you have people just slumped over like zombies. Literal zombies. I'm talking Thriller from Michael Jackson zombies, okay? It is a huge problem and it's hurting our citizens, it is hurting our cities, and we're ill prepared to tackle it. And it must be the federal government who deals with it because it's crossing state lines, it's crossing federal borders, and that's exactly the kind of government that we need to take on this problem. Look, I don't like coming out here and saying the government's going to solve problems. That is a slippery slope. But let's be honest, when we're handed a sword and shield and we choose to go and fight in the arena, you better believe we're going to use those tools available to us. That's the reality of what's coming in to this new administration. This is an excellent speech by Kash Patel, who is going to be cleaning up the FBI and start setting it on a more straight path that protects the rights of Americans. That's what we mean by defending law enforcement. The rule of law is sacred and should not be weaponized against you, the American people. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.